Winning or just claiming victory? 2 blocks from the White House. Winning or just claiming victory? That's the question hanging in the air tonight. And it's one that's echoing just 2 blocks from the White House, where power is never just exercised, but performed. Picture the scene. Cameras lining the sidewalks, reporters clustered behind metal barricades, activists chanting, aides speed-walking with phones pressed to their ears. Statements are being drafted, tweets scheduled, victory speeches teased. But beneath the noise, beneath the carefully curated optics, there's a deeper uncertainty. Did anyone actually win? Or are we watching a masterclass in claiming victory before the dust has even settled? In modern politics, winning isn't always about outcomes anymore. It's about narrative. It's about who gets their version of events out first, who controls the headline, who frames the moment before facts, consequences, or realities can catch up. And nowhere is that more visible than here, in the shadow of the most powerful address in the world. Every administration, every movement, every political faction understands one thing very clearly. Perception is power. If you can convince people that you've won, that momentum is on your side, that history is bending toward your argument, you gain leverage, even if the actual results are messy, incomplete, or still unfolding. This is why you see victory declared on election nights before all votes are counted. It's why press conferences happen before legislation is fully written. It's why a single line in a speech can dominate a news cycle, regardless of what's buried in the fine print. And that's where this moment becomes fascinating. Because when you look closely, what's being celebrated doesn't always match what's been achieved. Policy changes may be partial. Court decisions may be narrow. International agreements may be symbolic rather than binding. But the language used, sweeping, historic, unprecedented, the kind of words that suggest a clear, undeniable triumph, this isn't accidental. Political strategists know that people don't live in spreadsheets and legislative summaries. They live in stories, stories about heroes and villains, stories about wins and losses, stories that simplify complex realities into something emotionally digestible. So when a leader steps up to a podium and declares victory, they're not just speaking to opponents, they're reassuring supporters, rallying donors, and signaling strength to allies and adversaries alike. But here's the tension. Claiming victory too early can backfire. History is full of moments where leaders celebrated prematurely, only to watch the narrative collapse weeks or months later. Promises that couldn't be kept, reforms that stalled, rulings that were overturned, public opinion that shifted once the consequences became clear. When that happens, the initial victory speech doesn't age well. It becomes evidence of overconfidence, miscalculation, or outright deception. That's why the distance between winning and claiming victory matters so much. Winning implies durability. It suggests that something has changed in a way that will last. Claiming victory, on the other hand, is often about buying time. Time to consolidate power, time to move the goalposts, time to hope the public moves on before anyone asks harder questions. And the public often does move on. The news cycle is relentless. What feels like a defining moment today can be forgotten by next week, replaced by a new controversy, a new crisis, a new declaration of success or failure. In that environment, even a temporary or symbolic win can be spun as monumental, because by the time its limitations become obvious, attention has shifted elsewhere. That's not a bug of the system, it's a feature. Standing 2 blocks from the White House, you can feel how compressed time becomes. Decisions are rushed, statements are reactive, optics are prioritized because hesitation is seen as weakness. Silence is interpreted as defeat. So leaders speak quickly, decisively, and often absolutely, even when reality is anything but. But here's where citizens, voters, and observers need to slow things down. Instead of asking, "Who won today?" the better question might be, "What actually changed?" Did lives improve? Did power shift? Did rights expand or contract? Did institutions become stronger, weaker, or simply more polarized? These answers rarely fit into a single headline or a triumphant soundbite. And yet, those answers matter far more than the claim of victory itself. There's also a deeper psychological layer at play. Declaring victory is a way to maintain morale. Political movements run on belief. Belief that progress is possible, that sacrifices are worth it, that engagement matters. Admitting uncertainty or partial success can feel risky, even if it's more honest. So leaders often choose confidence over nuance, certainty over complexity. The irony is that voters are more sophisticated than they're often given credit for. People understand that politics is messy. They know that real change takes time. What they resent isn't complexity. It's being told that something is a win when their lived experience says otherwise. That disconnect is dangerous. When victory is claimed too often, too loudly, and too loosely, it erodes trust. Supporters begin to tune out, opponents become more cynical, and the space for genuine accountability shrinks. Everything becomes performance, everything becomes spin. So the question remains, is this moment a win or just a well-timed declaration of one? The answer may not be clear tonight or even next week. It may take months or years to fully understand what this moment represents. But what is clear is that the battle over the story has already begun. And that battle may shape public perception long before outcomes are fully realized. In the end, real victories don't need to be shouted from podiums 2 blocks away from power. They reveal themselves quietly, through lasting change, through policies that work, through promises that survive scrutiny. Claimed victories, on the other hand, are loud, immediate, and fragile. And as the lights fade, the cameras pack up, and the crowd disperses into the streets of Washington, one thing is certain. History will be the final judge, not the speech, not the headline, not the declaration, just the results.